for making the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you for the invite. Thank you for
Yeah.
the invite. I'm
I'm
like,
so glad that we get to meet finally.
finally, I remember, oh my goodness. I run the ropes the same way because I run the way I watched you run the ropes. That's how I based my rope running on. Like, because when I first started
Oh my
wrestling training,
God.
you'd won the Knockouts Championship. And the way
Mhm.
you ran the ropes to me, I just loved it because it's just like you're such a ball of energy and fire.
Oh,
And that's how I base like
oh my
my
God, I have goosebumps.
rope.
Like my whole body just went into chills. That's so, I don't even know what to say to that. That's, wow, that's such a big compliment. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. Like I just, oh, it was all like, oh, so amazing. So when you were like, do you want to come on? I was like, yes, please.
Oh, well, I've been such a big fan of everything you've been doing, and you've been doing everything your own way, true to yourself. Like me, you didn't necessarily fit in the quintessential women's wrestling box. Um, there's so many questions I have for you. Well, let's start really basic. Let's talk about baby Nikki Cross. What were you into as a child? What were your loves and passions before wrestling?
Before wrestling, okay, so I was actually a big reader. Like I loved Sweet Valley
Oh
Twins.
my God, me too.
Yes. And then they had like, sorry, I'm just making sure my thing's working. Like they had Sweet Valley Twins, they had Sweet Valley Middle School. The Sweet Valley Twins was when they were at middle school, then Sweet Valley High, and then it was Sweet Valley University. And then I recently read, well, not recently, it was a couple of years ago now, but I read Sweet Valley Confidential, which was like Sweet Valley 10 years on. And I was like, what the oh my god, I don't know spoilers. I was like, this is wild. Pardon the pun, this is wild. And then I loved the Babysitters Club,
Yep.
Sweet Horror, Goosebumps. Like I loved all of those books. Like I just loved reading like so much because where we grew up in Glasgow, it wasn't necessarily the safest of places.
Yeah.
There was a lot of football violence.
Okay.
So for us, like my mum and dad kind of wanted to keep me and my sisters kind of safe and like just kind of didn't want us like out in the, you know, out in the streets. So we were just big readers and then started watching wrestling. So it was like,
Wow. It's funny. See, it never fails to amaze me how the parallels one run between women wrestlers, even when you live on separate sides of the country. But those were all my books. We were similar age. You're
yeah,
32, 32,
22.
30. How old are you?
Well, I mean, I'm 32, but if you want to say I'm 22, then I will happily be
No, no. So you're 22
22.
and I'm 25. So the books are the same. My second fire captain in my career ever, he was from Glasgow, and he's going to be 64 soon. And I learned so much about Scottish history through him. And it's interesting that you say even yourself growing up in Glasgow, obviously 60 years later. So it's still not the safest of places, eh?
Just certain parts, like where we ended up moving to this like really nice, like quiet area. It's
Okay.
just certain parts of Glasgow. Like I was in the east end of Glasgow, and that was where, that was where a lot of the fighting can took place, and just a lot of like, you know, I don't know how to express it, more like kind of bored teenagers or bored youths looking at
Yeah.
pass the time with so there's a lot of gangs around and
Yeah.
the Celtic and Rangers, and there was like a lot of like football violence, and it was just you could just get caught in the middle of that without
Right.
even if you weren't a football fan. Like I was never a football fan,
Yeah.
so you could get caught in the middle of that like really easily. Even if you didn't support either Celtic or Rangers, so it's just it was just weird and yeah.
He said he would be walking home from school, and like just like you said, a street gang of kids would come up to him and beat the living crap out of him, and he learned how to fight really quick. And then all of his jobs reflected that of fighting. He was always like a bouncer working in the nightclubs, and with TNA I'd gone to Glasgow a few times myself, and when I think of Glasgow, all I think of is crunchy pizza.
You're the second person this week. So my friend Amber Gertner literally texted me and was like, "Is deep fried pizza a thing?" And I explained to her, like, deep fried, like crunchy pizza is a thing. And like, and you know, for anyone from Glasgow who's like listening to this, it's like, I love Glasgow with all my heart. It's my favorite city in the world. And like, when I think of Glasgow, like I think of like friendly people and just there's always someone to talk to, and everyone's like really friendly, you know. And it's just, it was just that side of it growing up that like just
Of
always,
course.
you know. I remember like, I remember getting a stone, like one of the boys in the scheme, we would call it, like scheme neighborhood, like threw a stone, and I don't know if he should have ended up playing for the baseball team or something, if he even baseball in Scotland. But his aim, he like literally, the stone hit my eye, and my entire eye scabbed over, and I had to like walk into school with like a, you know, it was, I was lucky not to like the injury for it to be worse, but I was only like, I was like 7 or 8 years old at that time, and it's like, and really he threw it from a really far distance. So I'm being serious. Like I don't know if he should have ended up playing for the baseball. I don't know, LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
Or Boston Red Sox. Or
maybe he is now. Maybe he got out.
Such good aim, like, but, you know, it was just one of those things. It was like, he was bored and he decided to throw a stone at a 8-year-old's face.
It's
so
a lot of people grow up not even having to think about things like that, and you know, it probably is a true testament to who you are as a person. And you know, you probably just have a little bit of a thicker skin than your average Samaritan.
I think I appreciate that, but I feel like my testament goes more to my mum and dad for just keeping us like so on the right track, and just like, you know. And I used to get so, you know, my mum was very overprotective, and I would be like, I'm a rebellious teenager, let my wings fly. You know, but and really in hindsight, I just know she was, you know, now I've got nephews and like it's not the same, but it's like I can just now appreciate like how much they were looking out for us. But I, you know, but I appreciate that. And I think having a thick skin is kind of very important for this business and for the life in general.
Especially as in this business, especially as a woman, goes a long way. Now, what about in school? What was your favorite subject? Or did you hate school?
I loved drama. I don't know if you I love drama. Drama was my favorite. Like I loved just acting, and I remember like there was a novelty, like they put on the Christmas play, and I really wanted to play King Henry. Even though it was a male character, I really wanted to play male Henry because he had all the lines. And I was like, I want all the lines, give me all the lines. And I was devastated when they gave the part to a guy.
Bullshit.
But it's okay, I got to play a shepherd instead, so I was like, right,
okay. Wow.
I mean, shepherds are great. Like shepherds are so fun. But it weren't the star of the show, Taylor. They weren't the star.
Truthfully, Henry VIII was horrible. Anyways, I'm kind of glad you didn't play him.
Well, I think this was. I don't know. It was. I don't know if it was that King Henry. I think it was a different king.
Oh, I just assumed.
One was like the Nativity.
Oh, right. See, this just shows how uneducated I am when it comes to Christianity, Catholicism.
I went to a Catholic school. They always had the Christmas plays around the baby Jesus and the Mary and Joseph and finding the inn. But I know the King Henry you mean, and he was horrible. Like the other King Henry who had like the 8 wives.
Yeah. I just assume that's the only King Henry, but he's Henry VIII because there's been 8 of him. I'll be okay. I'll just we'll graze over. You know what? The sad part is I'm actually Catholic as well, but I was just baptized and it ended there. So my education is limited. But did you play any, like, what were your favorite sports? Did you play an instrument in school?
I don't have an instrumental bone in my body. I can't sing. Horrible singer. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I love music. Like that's actually one of my favorite things about wrestling is like when you're in the car and you're driving home from a show or you're driving to a show and, you know, you're by yourself and you just have that time to decompress. Like that's actually one of my favorite things. Like I love that part of like just the journey and just thinking about your match and thinking about your show and then thinking about what you learned. Like, and you've got like, I don't know, something cool on in the background. Like I love that. But I really liked a lot of sports. I liked netball.
Yeah.
I was really short, so that didn't work out as a career.
Okay.
But I like dance too. Like I went to dance school for like 10 years. I like dance.
Wow.
I'm not good at it. No, I'm not good. I just like um and then I liked track. So I like doing long distance running.
Yeah.
Which is so weird to me now because if you asked me to get on a treadmill, I would like
No, thank you.
I would just go in the fetal position and I would just go in the fetal position. Like I wouldn't even like you would think I'd like wasn't alive. Someone suggests running to me now, I'm like, unless it's for the ice cream van, I am not doing any sort of running or I'm missing my flight. That's the only time you're going to see me run. Like I prefer like the assault bike. Like I like the bike. And
short
like
and sweet, right?
Yeah. But like long distance running, I used that when I was 14 or 15, like I loved it. Like it was just such a, I don't know, it was just, there was something so simple about it.
Yeah.
Just start running, just don't stop because something really simple about that.
So you just need me to run and for a long time. Okay.
Like where did the simplicity go? Like where did the simple good times go, Taylor?
Oh, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to basics.
Sorry, I know this is like I'm reversing the roles here.
No, please. I like it better.
Like when I found out you were a firefighter, that was like the coolest thing ever to me. What was the training like for that?
What the training?
Yeah.
So a lot of functional fitness had to go into it. So like for years as a wrestler, you know, you train very much for the aesthetic appeal of how your body looks. You especially when I was first in wrestling, you know, it was very much the Divas era, and I was fighting against my body to be thinner and leaner, and that's naturally not how I'm built. I'm 5'2.5". I'm naturally about 140 pounds. I have a lot of muscle density on my body. I come from a long line of like muscular men and women. And so actually training for firefighting completely probably rejuvenated my mental and physical health, because then I was starting to do things like I needed to eat more and have more protein in my diet and, you know, train, like count my macros and stuff like that, because I simply wasn't eating enough to train the way I needed to train for the strength aspect. So we all do the same physical test, men and women. There's no women's test, men's test. There's no men's expectation, women's expectation, because when you're on the job, everything is the same. You know, all the equipment weighs the same, whether you're a man or woman. So I really, really, really had to improve my like anaerobic training. So I had to be able to lift a lot heavier, and I had to have much better muscular endurance. So it like changed my whole body. It really did. And for the best. I'm so thankful for it. And
I love that.
Yeah, it really, because it wasn't training to look a certain way. It was training because I wanted to achieve a job that I'm so passionate about. And it's a job where only 2% of the department in North America is women, because even though we interview well, we do well on the aptitude tests, when it comes down to the physicality, you can't cut corners. You know, like if there's someone that goes down in a burning building, like I still have to drag that 220-pound guy, maybe by myself, usually with my crew. But it really, really comes down to the physicality. And I really struggled, like a lot of women do, my first few physical tests for the fire department, because it's really, really fucking hard. It really is. But I think like many of us female wrestlers, you know, you're told you can't do something, and you're like, oh yeah, motherfucker, I can't do
It looks like it's like this massive chip on your shoulders.
Yes.
And like for me, like that was just I always feel I'm at my best when I'm like got a chip on my shoulder. Yep. And it's like that's just the way it is. And I think like I think I don't ever want to like speak for anyone else or generalize, but I think that's something a lot of female wrestlers can like. I think that is a thing that a lot of us feel, like this chip on our shoulders. To your point, like, oh, you get told you can't do this. Like I had people telling me you would never, I wouldn't make it to television. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like, because I didn't look, I didn't like look the way like whatever that person's like image was.
Yes.
Like they just didn't feel that I would get to television, and it was just like, okay, like, and
Let me show you.
Definitely not I try never to see the negative thing. I just kind of see it as, okay, all right, I'll show you.
Yeah. And like, it's one of those things as well. It's like, you have that confidence in yourself and you want to prove other people wrong. But then at the same time, I feel like that thing always is in the back of your head, and it can be your own, you can be your own worst enemy. How have you prevailed over that? Because I had that my entire career with WWE, and it changed in TNA, but WWE was very much a place, I'm talking 10-15 years ago, where it was very much the Barbies, the brunette and the blonde Barbies. How have you overcome that yourself? Because it's changing, but there's always a little bit of that stereotypical image they're looking for.
I mean, for me, the person that told me like I wouldn't like, I wouldn't go to WWE was like one of like my like someone very close to me. They were just like, I just can't see them ever hiring you. And I just like, I remember hearing that. It was just like such a gut punch. And that wasn't someone in the industry. That was someone close to me that was like, I just don't think you have what they're looking for. And it was just like, it was like a gut punch. And it was just like, oh, okay. Like, and then I was like, all right, well, okay. I just need to focus on, just focus on the being the best wrestler I could be, and then being the best talker I could be, and developing such a personality in ring that like in my head I was like, okay, well, I'll just be it so they can't like you'll never forget the really loud Scottish girl. So for me, I just developed such a personality.
Yeah.
And then I think I told myself for so long that I wasn't pretty enough. And it was like, and I always used like humor or personality to be like, okay, I might not be pretty, but I've got a lot of personality. And it was like, and I think I told myself that for so long. And then now it's like when someone says, oh, you're really pretty, it's like, I don't know how to take the compliment. And you're like, thank you. And then you make like some weird, stupid joke because you've just had it ingrained in your head. Like, and I think it was a massive defense mechanism for me. But then at the same time, it became my calling card because like I was always the one cutting promos in the ring. Like, and it was just, so I put it in my head that I wasn't pretty enough. So I focused on so much other aspects. And then when I realized that, like, coming to America to wrestle on television was attainable and it wasn't some faraway galaxy goal, I was like, well, okay, okay, can I be in good shape? Okay, yes, of course. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and just, I don't know, just kind of learning how to do, I don't know, like learned how to do makeup. Like I went to makeup lessons and learned how to do makeup and was like, okay, well, I don't want to, just brush my hair and like put it in curls and like make my hair nice and wavy and like just things that I was like, okay, well, and I was doing it for me too.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing it for someone else. I was doing it for me because I was like, well, I deserve to feel beautiful just like anyone else does.
Yeah.
Everyone should feel beautiful, whether that's wearing makeup or not wearing makeup. Put like hair extensions, no hair extensions, color in your hair, dye in your hair. Like, I think everyone deserves to feel beautiful, however they want to feel beautiful. And it's like, that's to each individual. So I think we're all our own worst and harshest critic.
Yeah.
And I think that the last couple of years has really taught me that self-care and like self-love isn't it's not some meme or something to share on Instagram or Twitter. Like, it's actually something you need to practice and you need to be kinder to yourself. And I remember getting one piece of advice that was like, you wouldn't talk to your best friend like that. So why would you talk to yourself like that? And that always stuck with me. And it was just like, okay, that makes sense. Like, so I need to, I do need to see myself like, I need to, I don't know,
You need to believe
whatever
that.
makes me feel good and feel
Yeah.
it and believe it, because it's, I think, yeah.
That honestly, everything you just said was so spot on. And I hope any person listening to this podcast really takes that to heart, because we are all different shapes and sizes and colors and backgrounds, and we are beautiful. And you're not going to like this, but you are stunningly beautiful. And
Oh,
it's
oh,
not just because of the physical, but it's because you're a beautiful person inside, and that radiates. And everything you just said, that was so magical, and I'm glad you said it on my platform, because that's exactly what this show is all about.
yeah. Thank
Now,
you. Thank you for the platform. Like, it's just so, like, it's so important. And like, I don't know, it's just been a journey. And I think you can, this, like, you start wrestling, like I was 18 or 19, and it's just like, and you think you have all the answers, and then you don't have any of them. And then I'm 32, sorry, 22.
yeah, no, we're in our 30s. Let's not,
You know,
we don't
I'm,
give a fuck. Being in your 30s, I'm glad I'm not in my 20s anymore. That was fucking terrible.
I think he's honestly, I turned 30. I was like, in the last few years have been like, I've been so happy. And it's like, the 20s was great. Like, I traveled the world and like wrestled all over the world, and that was great. That was fun. But like, it's probably like it was and a shit show.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, being in my 30s, I'm like, I'm really happy, and I've like, learned a lot of self-acceptance. So it's like, I still don't have all the answers, and I will never have all the answers, and no one ever has all the answers. So they're lying if they tell you that, but you can figure some stuff out. So like, it's just been such a crazy journey. And I think wrestling has taught me not only about wrestling's taught me so much about the world, but it's also taught me a lot about myself. And then you also have to like keep in mind that, like, you know, this is one part of your life, and you need to develop who you are as a person outside the ring. And
So important.
you need to be a good person. Like,
Yes.
well, you should try and be a good person. Like,
That is a huge point that I think a lot of people don't know is, so much of who you are gets invested into wrestling, because it's a it is a full-time job, even though you might only perform, say, once a week, twice a week even. Everything you do outside of wrestling is for wrestling. And it's really hard to find outside interests if you're not grounded, if you don't have supportive friends or family. And what happens to a lot of us, as we've seen, there's that horrible downward spiral if you lose your job with a company, because it is so hard to differentiate who you are as a person from who you are as a wrestler if you don't have outside interests.
I am so glad you said that, because this thing about the support group is so crucial. And I would say that to anyone, like, you need a really good support group, because you need people to like pat you on the back when it's necessary, right? Because I think we are our harshest critics. And for me, I'm like a perfectionist, and I ruined a lot of experiences for myself, because I never was just like, okay, that was a great match. I was always like, okay, that was good. I could have done this better. I could have done this better. Okay, what could have been better? And it's like, you torture yourself. And like, there's so many times I wish I'd just been like, F it. It was a good, like, I did great. It was a great performance. And I think, like, so you need, and you do need people to pat you on the back, but then I also think you need someone to give you a kick up the backside, because sometimes your head will get in the clouds, and you'll maybe allow things like into your head that should be anywhere near your head. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think you need someone to like bring you back. You keep the feet on the ground and the head out of the clouds. And I think, thank God, like my husband, and I've got like an amazing family and some really good friends. And it's like, you just, that support group, if you don't have that, like, I think I've seen people get really lost in this.
Yeah.
And you need that anchor to like bring you back, because it's you've seen it, people just get lost in this sometimes, and maybe they're listening to the wrong people. And like, I've done it before, do you know? I'm not like, oh my, there's been times in the past where I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you're like, what it's just because it's just letting this get to you too. It's letting the negative stuff in, and I almost feel like you need to have a body armor,
Yeah.
and like let the negative stuff in, but you need to process it properly and like then push it to the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's life, you're going to have you negative and positive influences,
Yeah.
and it's just filtering through that BS.
I feel like you and I, as I always feel after halfway through these conversations, I'm like, you're my best friend. We just became friends,
But an
right?
animal, when you even when you're talking about, you know, coming into wrestling and like the it was what you were saying about when talking about changing your training and not like the nutrition side of it for firefighting. And it's like, you know, you go through so like there's like old photos of me that like people will share, like they'll tag me in it. And like I don't even want to share it because I know what went behind that photo. Like I know that photo was a result of me crash dieting
Yeah.
or cutting out carbohydrates or just looking like not me.
Yeah.
And then like in the person's like, oh, she looks amazing, she looks amazing. I'm like, that it doesn't look like me though.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, and then I'm like, no, like it is a good photo, and I should be proud of that photo, and I should be proud of my body. But then I'm like, no, because I know, like I was 24, 25
Yeah.
and didn't know enough about nutrition
Yeah.
and crash dieting, and then I just didn't love myself. So like I find it hard to look at some of those photos, because I'm like, oh, like no.
Oh, yeah. I am happy to put it on the record. Any photo of me from my TNA days, um, I was starving. I was depressed. I was lost. I didn't know who I was. I loved wrestling. Wrestling kept me afloat,
Mm.
but it was a different time. Now fit is the new skinny, and we've come to this amazing place in the world where we celebrate women for all their different body types, and we celebrate being strong. And I'm so happy that the pendulum has swung the other way. But that's really real thing, and a real heart-wrenching thing you've said, because I oh God, do I sympathize with that so much. Trying to put yourself in this box to do something that you're passionate about and you love. And it's not just a female thing, the men, they go through the same thing.
100%.
Um, but yeah, I'm so glad you're in a place now too, where you feel like you're you, and you're healthy and your body's nourished, and your brain is working because you're not carbohydrate depleted.
Bread, come to me, bread. I love your bread.
Bread is
And that,
delicious.
and that breaks, and like that breaks my heart. That's how you felt. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, and you're right, like guys, women, like wrestlers, like this is what this is the things that go on, and this is the stuff that I think people don't see.
Yep.
This is the part they don't see, and I'm so happy too that like we've both found this like
Yeah. Happy balance.
yeah, and it's like, so for now, like, I feel the best I've ever felt, and it's like I'm training really hard, and then
Yep.
and I'm eating well, and it's like
Yep.
I just feel like I feel like I look the best I've ever looked, and it makes me happy because it's so balanced and healthy in my head, and
That's how I feel too.
it's not like it was 10 years ago for me. It's completely different type of healthy.
Yeah.
And healthy to me is not, it's not, do I have a six pack? Do I have abs?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
that's not, no, I don't. That I used to think that meant healthy.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I look great, I feel great, and I work hard. So
Yeah. And I think there's a confusion too. Like you can really count your calories, and then you can say, oh, I'm really healthy because I talked about counting my macronutrients, but really you can just turn an eating disorder and shift it to something that's like fitness acceptable, and you still have an eating disorder. For me, literally, I don't count anything anymore. Scales mean nothing to me. I eat well, like yourself. You probably eat healthier than the average person, but like
yeah.
if I want some chocolate, I have chocolate. I have beer and wine probably every night.
Yeah.
Like
balance. Like it's all
yeah.
like
Like what is life is short. What is the point in training so hard and not allowing yourself, like if we would have let ourselves eat the shit we wanted to in our 20s, it probably would have barely showed, but we ruined our metabolisms. We totally missed out.
yeah, like I feel that like when I don't know, like nutrition is so unique to every single person. Like every single person, there's no something that works for me might not work for someone else. And I studied nutrition a lot with my personal training, and then it's like I understand that like not everyone and not there's one set rule doesn't apply to everyone, and it's like every person needs to find their own. But it's just like, if I've not seen my friends in a month and we want to go for brunch, like I want to have like pancake. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not having it every week, but it's like I'm like, no, I want to see my friends, I want to catch up, and I want a pancake.
And not feel bad about it.
Yes. And it's
most
all about
importantly. Yeah.
Oh
man. I feel like you and I could go on and on. And I'm so glad though. I'm so glad. But let's wrap this up. I like to end every podcast the same way. I do 10 tailor-made questions. It's like a speed round, but don't feel rushed because I want your full answers.
Okay.
Are you ready to play?
Let me have a sip of coffee.
Okay, let's get it in you, girl.
Okay. I'm ready.
Ready?
Let's get wild.
Woo! Okay, name one beauty product you cannot live without.
Name what, sorry?
One beauty product you cannot live without.
SPF.
I think, you know what? I think we have all moved to that. You want to protect that skin, you in your 30s, you wear that SPF.
A daily moisturizer, SPF. I live in Florida. I burn too easily. I cannot live without my daily moisturizer, SPF.
Your poor Scottish skin. What is your favorite exercise?
Exercise. Oh God, there's so much I love. I love the ball smashes.
Oh,
I'm a ball smasher. I love smashing those balls.
That's going to be taken completely out of context, right?
In anything where I'm smashing stuff, so it's like Hulk smash, like the tire slams, the sledgehammer, like anything where I'm smashing stuff, battle ropes, just to put that into some more context for people.
No, you heard it here. Nikki Cross, she's a ball smasher. I'm not changing it. Okay. What is your biggest pet peeve?
People that don't say please or thank you.
Now, have you found, so this is, Scotland, Ireland, England, and Canada, we were all based off similar monarchies. So I feel like we are more similar than to our fellow Americans. Did you notice a huge difference with the please and thank yous when you moved to the US?
Nothing that I noticed, but like there is like so like so an example would be like I would say to someone, oh thank you so much, and they would be like, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But then I realized, like, I was like, and the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, what? But then I realized that's that's someone's way of saying, oh yeah, no problem, you're welcome, no worries. And then it just, once I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay. Like, but the first time I heard, okay, I was like, oh my God, I was like, what? When I figured it out, I was like, oh, it's just like
that's their response. Yeah.
But then, and I would say though, I mean, being from like, I feel like I say like, maybe I say sorry too much. So I'm trying to get myself out of that habit. So
that's
like,
a very Canadian thing as well.
And be like, oh, sorry. Or someone would bump into me. I'm like, oh, sorry. And it's like, why am I saying sorry? They bumped into me. So it's trying to really untrain myself, because I think like sometimes I don't know, sometimes people might think you're like some sort of walkover if you like apologize. And it's just, so it's trying to like untrain myself from saying that. But yeah, I really, people that don't say please or thank you.
Yes, I'm being so polite, God.
People that treat like waitresses and waiters badly, I can't be like, no, I can't. No.
I fully agree. We need to be kinder to our service industry people, especially those working during the pandemic, because they're making the least amount of money and they are working the hardest.
Yeah, 100%.
Be a good person, people.
Be a good person.
Get your shit together.
It's not hard.
It's really not. It's easier. Honestly, I think it takes less energy to be nice than it does to be an asshole.
100%.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. Currently, or
You tell me, girl.
let's see. I had the weirdest crush when I was younger, and you can't judge me for this because I was like young, so it's fine. I had a really big crush on Bart Simpson. That's really weird. I'm fine with that. I've accepted that. But he was just like his attitude and just he was so cheeky. I was all about that Bart Simpson. Like
honestly, I still think like the person behind Bart Simpson, I still think I'm chasing that boy. So I don't think it's that weird at all. Like
that was really, I was like 9 years old, and I was just like, I mean, you know, I was 9 years old, and I was like, oh my goodness, Bart Simpson's such a cutie. And I really wish I could be like all yellow and, you know, go into a, you know, Simpsons cartoon, like, you know.
Ooh, that yellow skin and that skateboard.
Oh, the skateboard and the shorts.
Oh, yeah, eat my shorts, man.
That was my childhood. That's, you know, when I was a child. That
well,
was
okay, sure.
And you know, who doesn't love Chris Evans, Captain America?
It's a good one. I you know what? I'm hanging on to Bart Simpson. That's all I've heard. You can keep saying whoever you want.
I mean, you know, and Homer too. You know, Homer's got the donuts. Like, I mean, Homer will always keep you fed.
Yeah.
Homer will always make sure you are sugar and got your calories. Like, he'll always make sure you're done.
I think you're onto something. Really, I do.
Animated characters.
Yeah, much better than real life, man. Do you have a secret vice, like drinking a glass of wine in the shower?
Not that, but that sounds like a good idea. What would be my secret vice? I definitely have one. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, I definitely have one. I just can't.
And it's cool if you don't have one.
I feel like I definitely have one. I mean, I used to be a nail biter, but now I get my nails done. So it stops me biting my nails.
Good.
I have one, but it's too gross.
Tell me.
I mean, I don't do it anymore, but you know, I used to, like, I used to pick my nose when no one was watching. You know,
it's not that gross. That is acceptable.
And I would think I was trying to do it like so my husband wouldn't see, and then I think one day he like caught me. He was like, "What were you doing?" Like shamed me, and he never doing it again. I was like, "Oh, I didn't think you could see."
Okay, picking your nose when no one is looking is totally acceptable. I thought you were gonna say you like used to pick your nose and eat it.
Oh no, that's a different. Like, come now. There's different. Like a little jaggy bogey, you know, if it's up there and it's jaggy and it's your breath, you're like,
it's acceptable. It's not that bad.
I was like, so ashamed to say that. I was like,
not at all, girl.
And then I was like, I'm gonna have to tell the truth, or else people will think it's actually something worse. So I was like,
yeah. You honestly, that was like PG-13. You're fine. Okay, what wrestler has the best entrance music?
Ooh. I'm going to go with Chris Jericho's WWE theme, Walls of Jericho. Like that, I think that has to be if I'm to choose number one, I think that has to be it. Because that was so
it's a good hype song.
Hardy Boys, like, oh.
That was the era I really fell in love with wrestling too.
Same. Like, I started watching it in 2000.
Yeah.
And the match I ever watched was Lita and the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was so obsessed. The moment Ali dies on it, I was like, oh my God. I had
such a crush on Jeff Hardy. In 2000.
Like,
2000. Let's be specific.
He's so nice. Yeah. He's so polite. Like,
lovely human. What is your drink of choice?
Coffee. Wait, coffee?
It can be anything you want it to be. Alcoholic, non-alcoholic.
I will go with a little bit of water, hydration.
Yep. Yeah.
I can be persuaded with a cheeky mimosa.
Oh, okay.
Just a cheeky one.
Just cheeky. Just so we know you're human.
Yeah, and like, you know, just coffee and water, like
yeah.
like I needed to actually cut back on caffeine because I was drinking like 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day, and I was just whoa, like so. A couple of years ago, I cut back to like 2 cups a day,
Good
and
for you.
1 cup is usually decaf.
Oh, wow.
I've reined it in. I've reined it in.
Good for you. I should do that, but I'm not going to.
I'm a coffee snob though. Like I'm like
Oh, are you? It has to be good coffee.
love coffee.
What has been your most embarrassing moment in the ring?
Wardrobe malfunction in
Yeah.
Japan,
Ooh, tell me, tell me,
and
tell
it
me.
was my debut for Stardom. The first time they'd ever seen me, and I was wearing a top that I hadn't worn before,
Yep.
and I usually always all like I I wear like I don't leave anything to chance. I wear like 3 sports bras. I wear like I don't leave anything to chance. They
Yep.
keeping these puppies in, PG, PG,
Yeah.
so there's no chance. And then there's just this one show. I decided debut of a Japanese company. I'm just going to try one bra.
Yeah. Oh no.
And then they didn't come all the way out, but it was dangerously close to the point
Okay.
where it was all the girls in the back said to me, Nikki, danger. And then did that. So I was like, okay. And it was bad. That was probably my most embarrassing moment in the ring. Like no, there's 2 moments. So that was like a wardrobe malfunction, and then the other one was it was a pre-recorded show, and I was coming up with a drop kick it was actually in Toronto.
Oh wow.
It was in Toronto. It was a takeover in Toronto, and it wasn't live though. It was a section that they record before it goes live, and it gets aired on NXT a few days later.
Yeah.
And I was to be part of Sanity, run out, hit No Way Jose with a drop kick to the back, and this is my big moment. This is my big moment. Sanity, the fresh, hot new act. This was my big shining moment, coming off the top rope, and I miss.
Oh.
I effing missed. So I come up to the top, and it was a bad idea because honestly, like No Way Jose, that like love No Way Jose,
Yeah.
his back was turned, and it's like then I learned from that night, like it's really hard to take. It's really hard. Like I don't really like I want to see it coming. Do you know what I mean? It was and I feel so bad for Jose because like I would never want to be drop kicked in the back.
Yeah.
And I misjudged that, and I just missed them. And then because it was pre-recorded, they were like, okay, go up and do it a second time.
Yeah.
And then the second time, my teammates like held Jose because they were like, they thought it would help me.
Right.
And it was an awesome drop kick, but it wasn't. It needs to, when you pre-record something like that, you need to go into it the same way.
Yes.
So the first time they did it, they weren't holding Jose. So then I had to do it a third time. And by this point, the crowd are just crickets. They're like, what is going on? There's something really weird. And she's so crazy. She just keeps going. Because I was playing that character that was a little bit wild, a little bit unpredictable. So they were like, this is part of her character. She just drop kicking from the same rope 3 times. So the third time, and I just felt horrible. But then, and it was my big debut, big moment, and it was in front of like 12,000 people. It was the biggest crowd I'd ever performed in front of, and my heart I was in pieces. My heart sank. I was so sad. But then you pick yourself up and you get over it.
You fucking get over it.
Like it happens.
And how much stronger are you now because of it?
Much stronger, and like it's just one of those. Like now I know I'm not, never drop kick someone in the back because they can't see it coming and you can't judge it, right. So I learned a good lesson, and also just kind of like, I don't know, like, and then they aired it on TV and no one noticed. They made it very seamless. Yeah. So, and it taught me that like those 3 or 5 voices on Twitter. Yeah. When you're not in the right headspace, those 5 voices can feel like 500. Yeah. So that it kind of taught me an important lesson about like social media and just being very aware. Like social media isn't like, it's a fantastic way to connect with people. Yeah. Be really careful because if you're not in the right headspace and like you're not mentally feeling good, there's nothing wrong with taking like some time off social media. Like, because those 5 voices can feel like 500. Yeah. Everyone needs a social media detox. They really do. And I love that. Like, I love talking to my fans. Like,
Yeah.
I love connecting with people, and I love just like being silly and poking fun at myself. Like,
Yeah.
but you need to,
It's not your fans though that you need to detox from. It's the
yeah,
trolls, and they're everywhere, and they're for anybody. Wrestlers get it pretty harsh, but if you have a social media following, there's always going to be a few. And you're right, and you don't hear all the positives. Majority of your social media is probably positive, but all you can hear are those one or two trolls.
And recently I've just came across something. It was my husband. He shared this like Simpsons gif,
Yeah.
because we've talked about the Simpsons so much. Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson husband goals. Well, maybe not, maybe not with that, but with the Simpsons, and it's like this little gift that's like, just don't look, just don't look. And I was like, man, I could apply that to I could apply that, and focus on the positive, and just don't look at the negative, and just don't. But at the same time, like, you're going to hear that, like, the negative. It's just, you are going to hear the negative, and it's just about not letting it into your psyche.
Yeah. Okay. What is your favorite band or artist?
You've caught me at a point in my life. You've caught me at a crossroads. So for the longest time, it was Blink-182.
Oh.
Love them. And now I'm in this weird thing where I'm like in love with the music of Coldplay and The Killers.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm just at this, like, I still want to listen to Blink-182 and Sum 41.
Yeah.
But then I've got this other, like, mature, like got my shit together side. Like,
the mature, yeah, I get that.
Like, like, I want to be like immature and like, be in my pajamas all day. Or I've got like my Coldplay, my Killers, the Taylor Swift. I was about to say Taylor Wilde. Yeah. Taylor Wilde. So you've got like my very immature brain, and then you've got my really like, I've got my shit together academic side.
Perfect. Now I could, so the next question is, finish this lyric, and I could make it really obvious, but I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging and true to Scotland. So
ready.
So hopefully, okay. You say I love you, boy. I know you lie.
Why does that sound so familiar? Is that a familiar song?
Biffy Clyro?
Oh, I don't really like.
No Biffy? Okay, then change it up. Ready?
Change it.
All the small things.
2, 3. Sorry, I had to go back to being uncool again.
Nope,
Biffy
Clyro
could eat. Too cool for me.
Too cool?
It's way too cool.
Okay.
Like, very uncool over here. So yeah.
I don't no. I'm a bit of not a music snob at all. I'm not a music snob at all. I'm like majorly eclectic. I like lots and lots of music. And when I lived in England for a year, so I was very exposed to a lot of BBC music, and Biffy was huge when I lived there. It was like,
I even know the time period you're meaning, because I keep saying it's a band. they were massive.
It was 2011, 2012. And but that's okay. I forgive you, because that is not your musical interest. It's not about being cool. You're not a Biffy fan. Fuck Biffy.
Although I did say to myself, when things start opening up again, like, I definitely, oh my God, pardon me, I just burped on a podcast.
Perfect. That's what kind of podcast this is.
My goodness, that was such a burp. When the pandemic, like, when things start to get back to, like, opening up again, I definitely have made a pact with myself to go and see more live music.
Cool.
Because I felt like I was always like wrestling and always going to like shows, so I never did festivals, I never did live music, and I feel like I've really missed out. Like, really, like, I don't want to live with regrets. So I definitely, like, I'm going to go and see so many bands.
I think that's a really good plan.
I've had worse plans. That's definitely had worse plans, like trying to take over the world. Well, that didn't work out too well, and trying, go into space and meet a bunch of aliens. That didn't